feel much like standing up giving a speech that I would give everywhere else. So if I can, I just want to engage in conversation for just a minute, and then I'll get out of your hair. But as a challenger to a sitting incumbent that everybody, including myself, is very fond of and has a lot of respect for, there's a really fine line you have to walk between saying that we need to change some things or sounding negative, like I don't think we did anything right, because that's not true. So many advances, so many great things happened in the last couple of election cycles that it's hard to justify why I would get cocky enough to pop up and say, I think we can change some things. I think we can do some things better that will show better growth in a shorter amount of time for an awful lot less money. And so that's kind of where I'm going to come from. And so if there are any questions at any point, feel free to jump up and ask. I'm more than happy. I'm much more comfortable in a Q&A than I am in anything else. But we look at, on a legislative level, the gains that we picked up this year. We moved percentages. Democratic performance was great across the board. But what I feel that we lacked was a general party message. We did great things for specific candidates in specific areas and specific races. And we spent a good amount of money doing it. And I think that in a lot of those cases, while we spent money on a good idea, we didn't spend it as smartly as we could have. My biggest example is Trish Beck and Jay Sigmiller, both of whom we picked up this year. Great people, great Democrats, great candidates. I live in West Jordan. They live over on the other side of Salt Lake Valley. I can't vote for either of them. And yet, day after day, their TV ads were running on my TV in West Jordan. And they were running on a system that can target zip codes inside of districts. The map that they use when they put together their media buys shows where you can buy and how much you spend to expand that area. So if I'm watching a Jay Sigmiller or a Trish Beck commercial out in West Jordan, it's not doing me any good. It's not giving me a general Democratic Party message. It's telling me about candidates I can't vote for. What didn't happen was 200 yards south of me, where Chris Butter's district is. 200 yards. It's a rock climb. It's a great idea. It's, we didn't see targeted television down 200 yards south of me, or even in my area. I didn't get to see what should have been one of the most highly targeted races do nothing other than he deserves it. I didn't see messaging. I didn't see that television. Now, one of the reasons why I jump on TV, and I'll move into media in a second, one of the reasons I jump on TV is the average Utahn spends about 2,000 hours a year watching television. We perform our media dance at the state party level, targeted towards two main newspapers who are watching circulation, one slight growth in a direction way away from us, Deseret News, and another one who's watching their circulation, their subscriptions drop. People spend, in Utah, around 150 hours a year reading the newspaper. And that's just the people that read the newspaper, which is not that many people. We saw a gigantic groundswell of young, enthusiastic, energetic volunteers that came out inspired by the message that we got from the Obama campaign. And we didn't target them as voters, as volunteers, as enthusiasts, as putting in those steps we needed to make to build lifelong Democrats. We didn't target them where they get their news. Television, the internet, radio. Radio is anywhere from 12 to 1,500 hours a year. And we ran some for specific candidates. And we ran those in the weeks before the election. We're now several months removed from the election. We still have no presence. We still have no message. We're still being defined by antique media, by antique talking points that the Republicans have set out for us. One of the things I heard was that Republicans are terrified by their image right now. They're terrified. They would rather hear what is being said about us than what's being said about them. They're so terrified that they passed a fantastic ethics bill this year. Right?
Yeah.
No.
That I voted against.
Yeah. They're so terrified, they took no movement on ethics. They took no movement on lobby reform. They took no movement. Anybody who has spent more than 5 seconds looking at the lobbyist revolving door law that they put together knows it's nothing more than a piece of paper with a bunch of words that maybe semi-coherently put together some sentences that end up absolutely meaningless. That's how scared they are of us right now. That message that I've taken a little bit of heat for, that Democrats don't win in Utah. I'm of the opinion we run every race to win. And just being Democrats in Utah is a campaign. You know it when you go to your family picnics. You know it when you hang out with your friends at work. You know it when you pull into any parking lot anywhere in this state and see W04, the WOO tickets, or stickers on the back of those cars. They're out there. And the only thing they're hearing about us is that we're not good people, and they're hearing it from themselves. When the Democrats say something, whether it be a press release or anything else, that message comes out, they run to the nearest Republican they can get on the phone, and they ask them what they think about what we said. And in a 9-paragraph story, 6 of those will be a reaction from the Republican Party candidates, or the Republican Party officials. When a Republican puts out a press release, they get the press cycle. They don't call us and say, what do you think about this, unless it's something ridiculously controversial. Ridiculously controversial. And what does that mean in Utah when we talk about the Republican Party? Really, really got to be bad. Like Greg Curtis, to have the papers or the TV news call and ask us. And the reason we have that is we don't set the pace on the conversation anytime in our off years. Being candidate specific in the run-up to an election is fantastic work. And I think we did a pretty good job this year. I think we could have done much better. What do we do for the year and a half when we don't have candidates running? Are we out there? Are we on TV? Are we on the radio? Because it's not as expensive as it used to be. It's cheaper right now to run a month of television than it is to put a full-page ad in the newspaper. Cheaper. And if you take the production costs and you move those in-house and have the party with just a few computers and a couple of microphones and a decent camera, we can build all of this media in a short amount of time with a rapid turnaround, with almost zero production cost past buying the equipment. And that's good for candidates, that's good for the party, that's good for rapid response messaging. The Republican does something silly in DC, the DNC has a little studio in their basement. They can turn an ad around in less than a day. They can get it on the internet, they can push it out. You know, we can't do that right now. That's the skill set that I bring, I believe, into this, is to modernize how we communicate, set that tone to where we define ourselves. Because if we're not saying it where people are listening, somebody else is, and they're not saying it the way we want them to. That's the most important part. We have a year and a half of silence. We don't go to fairs, we don't do parades. We're not out there still interacting. It's like we come out of hibernation every other July. We say what we can. It feels reactionary. It feels defensive. It's a campaign. It's a campaign to be ourselves. We need to run it every single day. And we need to do it smarter. And we need to do it much, much more cost effectively. So if you guys want to, in the next couple of days, starting Tuesday, I'm uploading a whole bunch of different ideas, strategies, costs, numbers, graphs, charts. It's like a whole Perot campaign. Up on the website at jml.org. Putting it all up there, video samples of my work, things I've done before for other candidates, to kind of show you what it is in a very, very visual and audio sense of what I'm offering and why I think that I should have a chance. Why I think that you do good voting for me. You won't do bad voting for Wayne. He's a fantastic guy. He's done some amazing things. I really have nothing bad to say. I just think that change and evolution are what we need to take that next step towards, in the legislature, getting our veto back as a very first goal. And then beyond that, hitting parity, and then moving into the 50+1. That's what we need. And that's what I want to get.